So in this video, I'll talk about insulin resistance and the fact that and how it causes prediabetes. So there are quite a few risk factors for insulin resistance. One of them is medications. So if you're on any kind of medications, say for HIV or for schizophrenia, like any kind of neuroleptic, that will most likely lead to some sort of insulin resistance. High cortisol. So our cortisol is naturally highest when we wake up, and people who are very high stress don't deal with stress very well. They have high cortisol, and they're the people who always develop that lower body pooch, as they call it, and cannot lose that. So anybody with a sleep disorder, namely sleep apnea, that where you don't breathe properly in sleep. But if you are not getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, chances of developing insulin resistance are a lot higher. Obesity. Now, some people naturally have like a big gut, like they may have lipidemia. I plan to talk about that some other time. But they may already have metabolic syndrome. Now, people who have metabolic syndrome with a large waist, they are more likely not to be able to be sensitive to insulin. Age is a factor. Once you're over the age of 45, it's a lot harder. Your digestive system starts going kaput, and it's much harder to keep insulin. And if you have a family history of diabetes or any kind of prediabetes, chances of you're getting it are much higher. So what is insulin? The insulin is produced by the beta cells in the pancreas. It's used to balance blood sugar levels. It also does, bring potassium and sodium into the cells and helps with muscle growth, but that's for a future video. People with insulin-dependent diabetes mellitus do not produce enough. Now, this is also called juvenile diabetes, but it's an autoimmune disease. Like basically, the islets are attacked, and so you cannot actually produce insulin. People with type 2 diabetes are just not sensitive to it. So normal insulin levels in the blood. So if you're living in Canada or anywhere else other than the USA, you hear the 4 to 8 field rate. That's 4 to 8 millimoles per liter of blood, or in the United States, 70 to 130 milligrams per deciliter. 70 during fasted state, 130 after 2 hours after eating. And that's roughly the amount of 1 teaspoon per 1.3 gallons of blood. So that's 8 to 12 teaspoons of, and there's like roughly 8 to 12 teaspoons of sugar per can of soda. So right here it's written like how much sugar we really need. The truth is we don't have to have any added sugar in our diets. For example, bread, pasta, cereal, it all has carbs and all sugars. Like if you look on any kind of box of food or anything at all, like any type of can of food, it always has that sugar, enough sugar. And the truth is, the best thing to use for energy is actually fat stores. Now this is very difficult for a lot of us because we get that hangry feeling. So fat storage, fat when it's used as, and when it's used as energy, you're using ketones. Now if you can't use ketones and you need carbs, for example, the brain needs carbs, you can actually use carbs via fat in a process called gluconeogenesis, which turns fat into carbs. So the problems that you can develop with insulin resistance: diabetes or prediabetes, metabolic syndrome if you don't already have it, inflammation. Now this is terrible if you have arthritis, fatigue. You'll always feel tired, cravings. You'll always feel hungry for some reason, and excessive thirst, otherwise known as polydyspepsia, and high visceral fat. This is the fat that's very difficult to lose. It covers the linings of our bodies. So reversing insulin resistance, best thing to do is supplement with magnesium or get enough magnesium in the diet. This is from your vegetables. Even bananas have magnesium. Exercise. So like if you have a desk job or something, just a quick fix, what you can do is just drink a lot of water and then get up to use the bathroom every now and then, or just get up every now and then and do a little stepping on the spot, like jumping on the spot. Get enough sleep. Have cinnamon in your diet. Now cinnamon is great for you. It actually is wonderful. And same with apple cider vinegar. Like these two, they actually help with insulin resistance problems. They improve insulin sensitivity. Have complex carbohydrates instead of simple carbs. This is like having like vegetables or sweet potatoes instead of like just candy of that sort. I know the occasional candy is fine, but